Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Anybody out there? Sorry, guys, this is my first time and I'm trying to get out here and see who's watching us right now. I don't see anybody out there and I may be on the wrong page. Sorry about this. Please. Oh, hey Amy, am I on the right page here now? I don't want to get on my tutorial till I know if I'm on the right page. Hey Julie, how are you doing? I'm glad you're watching me. So I suppose we're working here correctly now. I'm sorry, I started off on apparently my own page. This is my first time going live here, so you're on your page, but you can stay. Okay, I see. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry about that, Amy. Okay, you guys, let's get started again. Let me go ahead and tell you since I messed it up. Hopefully we'll do better the next time, if there is a next time. I am Wendy from the Broken Needle, and my husband and I own a quilt and yarn shop in Bunn, North Carolina, which is about 25 miles north of Raleigh, North Carolina. We've been in business about 2 years now, and I wanted to thank Annie's for inviting me to come and show you how to do this pot holder. Annie's has a 30-day trial going on right now. If you'd like to check out their channel, you can subscribe to this free tutorial, free 30-day trial, and they have many tutorials and patterns and tons of things for you to check out. Let's go ahead and get started with this. And as you can see, I'm nervous because I screwed this up to begin with. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the tutorial. Now, if you guys have already purchased this, you will be able to print out your tutorial. First, we're going to start with the pockets. And if you have not purchased it, you can do so right on Annie's channel for $6.99. Now, I think my husband's getting another video camera set over here, but I'm going to go ahead and use this, my iPad, to show you guys what to do. I wanted to tell you about the fabric that we're using first, which is for my pumpkin. I'm using grunge fabric. The grunge is called Zesty Orange. Let me see. Yes, Russet Orange, excuse me. Russet Orange for the pumpkin. And then we have Zesty Apple Green for the leaf and the binding. On the back, this is an older Moda fabric called Welcome Fall by Deb Strain. Alrighty then, let's get started with the very first thing in our pattern are the pockets. We're going to need to make 2 of these. After you've used your template to cut out your fabric, the first pocket here. Hey Ashley, how are you doing? I'm crazy today. You're going to need to make 2 pockets. You layer the bottom piece of your pocket. Here's the 2 pockets that we're making. We have our bottom piece and a layer of batting, and then your top piece, which is the top part of the pumpkin. Layer these together so you have your bottom piece, your batting, and then your pumpkin top piece. We baste these together. A basting stitch is just to keep the 3 layers secure when you're adding your binding so things don't shift on you. If they do shift a little bit, all you need to do is just trim the edges here. What we want to do is make 2 pieces, one for the left side pocket and one for the right side pocket. So you're going to use your template and make one and then another one in reverse. So we have 2, I keep repeating that, 2 pockets. Now, after you've basted it together, you need to take some bias binding. And the difference between a bias binding and a straight binding is that your straight binding doesn't have much give to it. As you see, this one is a straight grain and I'm pulling on it and it doesn't have much stretch to it. I've made some bias binding on my own, and I do have a more in-depth tutorial on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out at The Broken Needle, where your bias binding is more stretchy, and it's good for curves. Like if you're doing a quilt and it has scalloped edges, it's better for adding this type of binding for your curved edges. And since our pumpkin has curves on it, that's what we need our bias binding for. You take your raw edges of your binding. This is a piece, one of the scrap pieces of your binding that you'll add to the pocket here. Put the raw edges together and sew a 1/4 inch down, and then you flip this over. And I apologize, we did have it set up to show you the machine and everything, and since this is our first time, we got all screwed up with our cameras, so I apologize again for that. After we pin this down, we'll flip it over. Here, actually, now Matt's got the camera for me, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and sew this a 1/4 inch on this side. It's much more helpful when you have a husband to hold the camera for you. Like I said, since I'm using this bias binding, it's stretchy, so I can stretch around this curve here and gently hold it down to give it right on the curve. All right, now I have my bias binding on this side, and you do want to make a little bit longer than your template. I'll show you how we'll cut that off later. Now we're going to fold this over, just finger pressing it, and I'm going to use some pins here, sorry. Let's see, where are my pins? I did have some pins, but in order to sew this down, we're going to pin it right into the seam. And see how it pops out the back there? Make sure you're pinning right into the seam there. Back to the other side. And you want to do this all the way down, but since I'm not going to because we're doing this live, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know that you should be doing it, pinning it all the way down just to keep it secure. I'm going to use my finger since for some reason I only have one pin available. Now, I usually like to go pedal to the metal, but for this particular tutorial, and when you're doing the binding, you need to put it down as slow as possible because you want to be stitching right in the ditch here. Here we go. And just if you have any questions, you can save them to the end and I'll try to answer them. Hopefully I can see you guys. I'm speeding it up a little bit for myself. And since I didn't have that pin that I needed, I have to use my fingers here. Anybody else out there? Hey, Ashley. Hey, Amy. Apparently I went to the wrong page. Okay, this is one pocket. See, I've sewn, and I'm using the contrasting thread here so you guys can see it on this side. Normally I would have put green in the bottom and orange in the front. So my binding is sewn on the back and on the front here. Next, I would cut this side off and this side off flush with the fabric, and you'll have one piece like this. This is the pocket for the left side, and you do the exact same thing for the right side, so then you'll have two pieces here. Next, we're going to make the body. And you do it exactly the same as you did with the pockets, except you use your template here, and this time we're going to include Insulbrite in our body. We layer one fabric down, right side down, one piece of batting, and your Insulbrite, and then your pumpkin fabric on the top. Baste around and you have your pumpkin body. So we got our body, and then like I said, we'll have 2 pockets, one for the left side and one for the right side. So in other words, this will be your body, and you'll have these 2 pockets here. After you have your body in place, you can take a pin, and what I did on mine here, I just put a couple little curves here for the inside of my pumpkin. I did it by freehand, but you can draw it if you need to. And then we're going to quilt this together. And as I said, I like to go fast motion, so that's what I'm going to do here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Pumpkins aren't always perfect. And I'm using the friction pen so I can just use the iron and iron away my marking later. Same thing with your pocket. Once this is bound together, you want to quilt it together. See, as I did here, just take your pin. Oops. I'm just going to make 3 lines on this one. I did 4 on that because I was able to get more on there. Oops. Hey Doug, what you doing? Where are you guys from? Let me know what state you're in, what city. As you can see, there we go. Now, since I used the friction pen, I'll just use the iron and iron it off with heat. And we're done. So we got 2 pockets and the body together. And let me check out my notes here to keep me in check of what I was doing. I had this all planned out and things went a little awry. Sorry about that. Now we need to make a loop. We need to make a loop here that we're going to use to hang the pot holder. So you need to get a 1 3/4 inch by 5 inch piece of, I'm using the, like I said, Moda Grunge, whatever you decide to use for your loop. And I'm just going to finger press it here. If you want, you could use the iron to press this. So here's what we do for the loop. We fold it lengthwise in half like this. Like I said, I'm finger pressing it. Then you open it up and fold it in towards the center line crease that you just made. Finger pressing again. And then fold in again to the center here. Finger pressing and fold over again. Now I'm going to show you again with the contrasting fabric, but normally I would use green like I did here to blend in. And about a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, and oops. I didn't need my presser foot down when doing that. And you have your loop. Here's another one that I did that was prettier. Now we take our loop and we will be putting it on the back side of our pumpkin. You want to put this loop raw edges to raw edges and make the loop down here towards you. And you can pin it in place here. Oh, thank you, husband. Has me another pin. Thank you. I think one will do it this time, though. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches back and forth to secure it. And then go over here, take my pin out. scissor off, and voila, isn't it beautiful? We're almost finished. Next, we take our bias binding. Let's see. I need my Wonder Clips. Where's my Wonder Clips? Oh, Wonder Clips. Wonder Clips are wonderful. I guess that's why they call them Wonder Clips. Now, as I said before, I know Annie's has wonderful tutorials. Like I said, they have a 30-day free trial going on right now. So make sure you go over there and check that out. They probably have a site on there showing you how to do bias binding, but I do too on my YouTube channel. So when we go to put the bias binding on, I'm starting over here on the left side. I don't want to start up here or down here. It's just easier and it'll look prettier when you start on the side. You don't want a seam to be near the beginning and the end of your binding. So our seam is I'm trying to find a long piece that doesn't have a seam to start with. And I'm going to Wonder Clip this around. And you get the gist of the idea here. Once we do this all the way around, then we will sew it exactly as I showed you before on the pocket. After it's sewn all the way around, you flip it over and take your pins and pin exactly into that seam. And when you sew along the seam, right in the ditch there, it'll be hidden on the front, and on the back it will secure your binding on. You can use that for quilting as well when you're doing a whole quilt. So after you have your binding complete, you have a template in your pattern as well that has the leaf, and that's what we're making next, is our leaf. So you take your leaf pattern. This one is really easy. You have a piece of batting, and then your two pieces, whatever you choose to be your pieces for your leaf, you put two pieces right sides together, and you're batting on the bottom. It may sound odd, but you'll see why in a minute what we're going to do. We trace our leaf pattern right on to the fabric, and we're going to sew on the leaf. So anybody else out there? Hello. Gets better as we go along, believe me. Now, what you would do is trim this off, trim all your points off, and you'd have a piece like this. You take your seam ripper, but make sure you carefully spread apart your batting and the other underside piece of fabric, and you take your seam ripper and rip a hole, and then we turn it right side out. We're going to use the purple fang over here to help me do that. Poke out my corners. And almost there. Now, voila! It's a leaf. Woo. Now you take DMC floss, or you can just use regular thread, and you would hand sew this closed, and then you take it, and what I did is just before I decided I wanted to add some stitching here to make it look like the veins running through the leaf, and you take that your floss, embroidery floss, and just do a straight stitch is what I did, and then I tack down the top here and over here, and then again underneath one place here, just so it doesn't flop around, and then your pot holder will be complete. Oh my goodness, this was crazy. I thank you so much for coming in here today and watching me do this. My first one, hopefully not my last one, and maybe the next one would be better. But we appreciate you today, and don't forget to check out Annie's and purchase the pattern. We also have the, on our site, we do have fat quarter bundle sets available, which has all of the grunge, the Deb Strain, the Moda Grunge Orange, and the Moda Grunge Green. I appreciate you guys today. Thank you for joining us, and you all have a great day. Bye.